whole thing that happened during this pandemic, and Guru Maharaj coming from US to Sri Mayapur Dham, it is just like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Chaitanya Chandrer Kripa Karaho Vichar, Vichar Korile Chitte Paive Chamatkar. That just imagine, if you can think, and the magnanimity and the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we will be astonished. So here is a devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just to spread the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went and he took risk to go to US. And the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it sure that he comes back to his abode, to Sri Mayapur Dham. And here we have Guru Maharaj with us. And it's such a blessing that in today, in Sanatan Goswami's TIROBHAV Tithi, the same day, Krishna arranged his meeting with Guru Maharaj. And I can feel that few years we served with Guru Maharaj and he blessed us. And we are touched. We cannot forget till we die. But what is happening to the hearts of all the devotees, like Maharajas and his god brothers, god sisters, how much pain they are going through. However, Guru Maharaj is eternally present, as Vaishnavas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that they always live. He is there with us, he is blessing us, and he is very much present here in his Samadhi. In the mood of Samadhi, he is very merciful. And I was remembering that about the relationship that all the Maharajas are saying. I remember once when Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, in 2002 when he came after a long time, and we were all getting ready to receive him, and we cleaned his room and everything was ready. According to us, everything was ready. And then suddenly His Holiness Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj comes, because Guru Maharaj's quarter is just above the quarter of Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj Gurudev. And just before 1 hour he comes, and we were very happy that he will be very happy with us, that in the way that we have decorated and cleaned the place. And he was so upset. And he said that, what you have done, it's a mess. You change everything. Then I said that, and we all told that, how much, where we will get all these things, the bed cover, bed sheet. He said that, just go up into my quarters, open, and everything you use in the service of Maharaj. And then I remember that we made a coconut, what do you call rassi? Coconut, rope, coconut rope in Guru Maharaj veranda to Gurudev's veranda. Why to take so much time to go that side? You will climb up like this. And he told, Srivas Prabhu was at that time cooking, and Baninath Prabhu was there also. And Guru Maharaj said that, anything they want, just give it to them. And we were like kings, Hari Bol. And that I saw that, how much love they share among each other. And that we need to also learn from them. Now we have another great personality, a very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and a very close associate of Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. We are remembering His Holiness Bhakti True Swami Maharaj and contemplating how to serve him in separation. One of Sripad Bhakti True Swami Maharaj's most prominent qualities was his deep love for Srila Prabhupada. Very soon after Maharaj met Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada included him in his personal staff and made him his secretary for Bengali and Hindi correspondence. Soon thereafter, Srila Prabhupada gave him first and second initiation and then sannyas. And Maharaj personally served Srila Prabhupada throughout Prabhupada's last days. His Holiness Bhakti True Swami Maharaj was also devoted to ISKCON. He always considered ISKCON to be a unique creation of Srila Prabhupada's, and always wanted to serve ISKCON, both the devotees in ISKCON and ISKCON as an entity, a manifestation of Srila Prabhupada. He was really in the mood of service to the devotees, especially the devotees of ISKCON, and to ISKCON itself. Maharaj was a very pure-hearted, loving person. His love for Srila Prabhupada was seen in his love for the devotees and for people in general, whom he wanted to bring to Srila Prabhupada, and in how he encouraged devotees to increase their engagement, taking on more responsibility, and becoming more loving, humble servants. The more responsibility one accepts, Maharaj once explained to a devotee in Mauritius, the bigger servant of the devotees one becomes. This reminded me of something Srila Prabhupada once said. A disciple came into Prabhupada's room in Mayapur one day and began to complain about the management. Srila Prabhupada said, "If you think you can do better, why don't you?" Somehow, the disciple came out and announced that Srila Prabhupada had made him the temple commander, and he began to boss around the other devotees. Some devotees complained to Srila Prabhupada that the devotee had said that Prabhupada had made him the temple commander, and that now he was barking orders at everyone. So Srila Prabhupada called for the devotee and instructed him, "First you become the servant of everyone, then you become the temple commander." Thus Srila Prabhupada expressed the same idea, that a bigger position means becoming a bigger servant. And Bhakti True Swami Maharaj in Parampara had the same understanding. If we listen carefully to all of Maharaj's instructions, we can understand how closely he followed the disciplic succession. Some of his statements were very close to Srila Prabhupada's words, and some took the basic principles that Srila Prabhupada gave and sweetened them with personal realization. Another of the many fine qualities exemplified by His Holiness Bhakti True Swami Maharaj was his offenselessness. He was very careful not to commit any offense against any devotee or any living entity. And if he felt he had committed an offense, he immediately tried to mitigate the offense by approaching the person, apologizing, and asking forgiveness. Somehow or other, he tried to rectify the offense. From our point of view, we wouldn't think that he had committed an offense, but within his pure heart, he may have felt that he had, and immediately he would try to approach and please the person he feared he had offended, and remove the effects of the offense. Maharaj's heart was pure and very sensitive, full of appreciation for other devotees, and sensitive to his own faults, which again, from our point of view, weren't even faults. That's really the heart of a Vaishnava, full of love and appreciation for others, but sensitive to one's own deficiencies or mistakes. As stated by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verses 13 and 14, quote, "One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. End quote. As Maharaj always reminded us, we have the wonderful association of the devotees in ISKCON. And through their association, we can experience Srila Prabhupada's presence. And along with Srila Prabhupada's presence, the presence of Srila Prabhupada's dear and beloved associate, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Further, we can learn to serve him in separation. As Srila Prabhupada wrote in his dedication to Srimad Bhagavatam, quote, "To Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, my spiritual master. He lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him." After our Srila Prabhupada left, I looked for solace and guidance in his books. And I came across a section that addressed the disappearance of the spiritual master. That is Srimad Bhagavatam 4:28, 45 to 55. Some passages encouraged me that my lamentation over Prabhupada's departure was justified. Others, that I could regain his association by serving his instructions. Text 47 states, quote, "Being now alone and a widow in that forest, the daughter of Vidarbha began to lament, incessantly shedding tears, which soaked her breasts, and crying very loudly." End quote. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, quote, "Figuratively, the queen is supposed to be the disciple of the king. Thus, when the mortal body of the spiritual master expires, his disciple should cry exactly as the queen cries when the king leaves his body. However, the disciple and spiritual master are never separated, because the spiritual master always keeps company with the disciple, as long as the disciple follows strictly the instructions of the spiritual master. This is called the association of Vani, words. Physical presence is called Vapu. As long as the spiritual master is physically present, the disciple should serve the physical body of the spiritual master. And when the spiritual master is no longer physically existing, the disciple should serve the instructions of the spiritual master. The next verse discusses the chaos or disorder that might follow the disappearance of the spiritual master. And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada explains what the disciples can do. Quote, "The main business of human society is to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead at all times, to become his devotees, to worship the Supreme Lord, and to bow down before him. The Acharya, the authorized representative of the Supreme Lord, establishes these principles. But when he disappears, things once again become disordered. The perfect disciples of the Acharya try to relieve the situation by sincerely following the instructions of the spiritual master." End quote. I was astonished. Srila Prabhupada was telling me exactly what I needed to know. Quote, "The perfect disciples of the Acharya try to relieve the situation by sincerely following the instructions of the spiritual master. End quote. But how will the disciples get detailed guidance when there is a question regarding which of the spiritual master's instructions to apply in a particular complex situation? And what would be their qualification to receive such guidance? The purport to text 50 answers, quote, "It is the long-standing tradition of the Vedic system that a faithful wife dies along with her husband. This is called Saha Marana. The wife used to enter the fire voluntarily. When Maharaj Pandu died, he was survived by 2 wives, Madri and Kunti. The question was whether both should die or one should die. After the death of Maharaj Pandu, his wives settled that one should remain and the other should go. Madri would perish with her husband in the fire, and Kunti would remain to take charge of the 5 Pandava children. This indicates that a devotee's wife must be prepared to act in such a way. Similarly, a devoted disciple of the spiritual master would rather die with the spiritual master than fail to execute the spiritual master's mission. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes down upon this earth to reestablish the principles of religion, so his representative, the spiritual master, also comes to reestablish religious principles. It is the duty of the disciples to take charge of the mission of the spiritual master and execute it properly. Otherwise, the disciples should decide to die along with the spiritual master. In other words, to execute the will of the spiritual master, the disciple should be prepared to lay down his life and abandon all personal considerations. And the next 2 purports explained how that detailed guidance would come. Quote, "In his Paramatma feature, Krishna is the old friend of everyone. According to Vedic injunction, Krishna is sitting with the living entity side by side. According to the Shruti mantra, Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakaya, the Lord is situated within the heart of every living entity as Surit, the best friend. The Lord is always eager to have the living entity come home, back to Godhead. Sitting with the living entity as witness, the Lord gives him all chances to enjoy himself materially. But whenever there is an opportunity, the Lord gives good counsel and advises the living entity to abandon trying to become happy through material adjustment and instead turn his face toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender unto him. When one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained before, this means meeting the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the instruction of the spiritual master. This is technically called Vani Seva. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states in his Bhagavad Gita commentary on the verse Vayavasayatmika Buddhir Ekeha Kurunandana, Gita 241, that one should serve the words of the spiritual master. The disciple must stick to whatever the spiritual master orders. Simply by following on that line, one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that unless one is very highly elevated in loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot see him as he is. Nonetheless, if one sticks to the principles enunciated by the spiritual master, somehow or other he is in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the Lord is in the heart, he can advise a sincere disciple from within. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pridipurvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. In conclusion, if a disciple is very serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master, he immediately associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Vani or Vapu. This is the only secret of success in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead of being eager to see the Lord in some bush of Vrindavan, while at the same time engaging in sense gratification, if one instead sticks to the principle of following the words of the spiritual master, he will see the Supreme Lord without difficulty. Srila Bilvamangal Thakur has therefore said, Bhaktis tvaisti arata bhagavan yadi syad daivena navalati divya kishora murti mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevate sman dharmartha kama gataya samaya pratiksha. Quote, if I am engaged in your devotional service, my dear Lord, then very easily I can perceive your presence everywhere. And as far as liberation is concerned, I think that liberation stands at my door with folded hands, waiting to serve me. And all material conveniences of dharma, religiosity, artha, economic development, and kama, sense gratification, stand with her. Krishna Karnamrita 107. Prabhupada continues in the purport, if one is very highly advanced in devotional service, he will have no difficulty in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one engages in the service of the spiritual master, he will not only see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but attain liberation. As far as material convenience is concerned, they come automatically, just as the major servants of a queen follow the queen wherever she goes. Liberation is no problem for the pure devotee, and all material conveniences are simply awaiting him at all stages of life. And we saw this in the life of Srila Prabhupada and also in the life of His Holiness Bhakti True Swami Maharaj. In the next purport, Srila Prabhupada wrote, when the Brahmin asked the woman who the man lying on the floor was, she answered that he was her spiritual master, and that she was perplexed about what to do in his absence. At such a time, the Supersoul immediately appears, provided the devotee is purified in heart by following the directions of the spiritual master. A sincere devotee who follows the instructions of the spiritual master certainly gets direct instructions from his heart, from the Supersoul. Thus, a sincere devotee is always helped, directly or indirectly, by the spiritual master and the Supersoul. This is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. If the devotee serves his spiritual master sincerely, Krishna automatically becomes pleased. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasada. By satisfying the spiritual master, one automatically satisfies Krishna. Thus the devotee becomes enriched by both the spiritual master and Krishna. I felt purified and exhilarated. I had gotten the guidance, the answers I needed, in a most encouraging and empowering way. And I hope that the followers of Sripad Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj will get similar enlightenment and encouragement as they endeavor to serve their departed spiritual master in separation. And that is why I have shared these excerpts with you. I pray that Srila Prabhupada and Sripad Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj will bless you all in your endeavors to serve them in separation. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj.
Swami Maharaj ki. So we have a very beautiful presentation now, and that is called O Loving Soul. A presentation on loving memories of our dear Srila Guru Maharaj. I think it's ready, and we can start it.
Some say you were an ISKCON man. Some say you were a Prabhupada man. But we say you are Prabhupada Gota Pran. Prabhupada is your life and soul. Oh, loving soul. Oh, pure soul. Oh, pure soul. Oh, loving soul. Oh, loving soul. Pure, oh, pure soul. were a great personality. Some say you were a worldwide preacher. But we say you are Prabhupada Gotapran. Prabhupada is your life and soul. O loving soul, O pure soul.
Jai Mor Rasa Nidhi, Jai Mor Vancha Siddhi, Jai Mor Rasa Nidhi, Jai Mor Vancha Siddhi, Jai Mor Vedera Dhara.
Some say you were a fragrant flower of a rose. Some say you touch hearts wherever your voice goes. But we say you are Prabhupada Gotapran. Prabhupada is your life and soul. O loving soul, O pure soul.
O pure soul, O loving soul, O loving soul, pure, O pure soul.
Some say you were shelter like a banyan tree. Some say you gave love of Krishna and made us free. But we say you are Prabhupada Gotapran. Prabhupada is your life and soul.
Anukula bhabe vidhi, she pade hoibe siddhi. Anukula bhabe vidhi, she pade hoibe siddhi. Nirakhibo e dui nayane, nirakhibo e dui nayane.
Some say you showed in ISKCON real Vaishnav Sadachar. Some say you never did anything to cause Vaishnav aparad. But we say you are Prabhupada Gotapran. Prabhupada is your life and your soul. O loving soul, O pure soul. oh pure soul, oh loving soul, oh loving soul, pure, oh pure soul. প্রফুল্লিত হবে শিবিনে। Some say you were a great cook and always others you love to feed. Some say the heart of Srila Prabhupada you read. But we say you are Prabhupada Gotapran. Prabhupada is your life and soul. Oh loving soul, oh pure soul. Darshana ahi garale jaralo dehi tua darshana ahi garale jaralo dehi chiradina tapika jivana Chirodina Tapita Jira. Some say the glories of your kirtan were a wonder to behold. Some say your Bengali words were very sweet and bold. But we say you are Prabhupada Gotapran. Prabhupada is your life and soul. Oh loving soul, oh pure soul.
Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Vishuddhari Srila Prabhupada ki Shamobeta Bhakta Vrinda ki Gaur Premanande.
We love you, oh Prabhupada. We miss you, oh Prabhupada. we will find you again. Our loving service and separation will end. Oh, pure soul, oh, loving soul, oh, pure soul, oh, loving soul.
And that way, we always remain with the spiritual master. Spiritual master is never away. And that is a very, very important consideration. Like we have noticed when the spiritual master is present on the planet, some individuals, some disciples become very, very enthusiastic in serving him, completely committed to him. But then you see when the spiritual master disappears, they actually drift away. And that is actually a very unfortunate thing to happen.
Tabu kathamrita tapto jivana kobi bhiririta kalmashapaha tabu kathamrita tapto jivana kobi bhiririta kalmashapaham Shravana Mangala Shrimadatata Bhuvi Grinnan